Gareth Shan has got something to say. Let's hear what he has to say about body count for men.
I think every single guy is sold this idea. The more girls we get, the more the boys will respect us and the more fulfilled we'll feel. But if no one sold you before, let me be the first to tell you this. I used to go out every single weekend, eventually let go of the person who I really was, which was someone valued connection, intimacy, just so I could find the girl to get that evening, feel good about myself. I would do it even when I didn't feel it. And those days where I didn't get anyone, I would feel even worse. And the reason that I chased this feeling is because every time I got with these skills, a little part of me felt loved, worthy. In other words, I was basically just trying to get out my body count, just so I could feel good. It was never about the other person, nor was it ever about me. I think hookup culture has us believing we'll feel happier once we get the person. But this shouldn't be the case. And it was only when I realized what I was doing that I realized that this was trouble. Look, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with this. You're going on and you're present with the other person. But the moment you start doing this to fill a hole inside of yourself is the moment you lose and end up harming others. The goal is to love yourself enough so that you have enough self-worth with or with someone. Share this video with someone who needs to. Body count is only
Boom. Boom, shake, shake, shake the room. Boom, shake. Will Smith dropped that shit. Niggas was like, yo, come on, man. The man was doing this joint too. He was doing like the hip hop
That
parade.
was kaboom. Guess who stepped in the room?
The
Take
cow.
Al coming from the
Hold
shower
on,
and that.
1 second. Give me a second with my joint. Hold on. All right.
Hey, damn, my lights are too bright. That's better.
All right. You know, normally you go first. I'm gonna go first.
Yeah.
Everything he said was me when I was single. I never fully adjusted or adapted to hookup culture because it is not essentially a part of my personality. Number one. Number two, I really wasn't interested on working. And I was more than happy looking back at settling down and being with one woman. Now, I had my own awkwardness, I had my own weirdness, I had my own growth areas. Everyone does. But I was more than happy doing that. And what happened was the more you hung around dudes who was beaten, the more you hung around dudes who was getting women. We talked about this before. The guys who get women, despite who they may be or what they're achieving, they become popular, A, because they're sleeping with women, so they're popular with women, which is seductive for most men. And then they're popular with men because they're sleeping with women. So you end up having a win-win despite what your character is and despite what your achievements are, despite what your morality may be. And what happens is you then feed off that energy because you're getting attention, especially in this day and age where attention is like oil, like in the late 1800s, 1900s, early 1900s. And you get to basically make money off of that attention. You build whole empires, social empires off that attention. And the moment you're not successful in that arena, your life begins to suck. You feel like everything is being removed from you. You feel like you're no longer in competition or in the running to be the most popular, to be the it guy, to be the one who's going to, be the winner who takes all. And he's absolutely right. And we don't talk enough about body count for men because normally we're demonizing women's body counts. But body count for men is a really big issue. And I think he hit the nail on the head. It wasn't about numbers the way it simply is for women. It's about self-esteem. It's about value that men either are giving to themselves or others or taking away from themselves or others just based on how many women they slept with. When we all know that ultimately leaves you empty.
Yeah. It's a great perspective. I mean, I agree with some of the things he said. I think part of it for me is I don't think everybody's in it for that. I think if you're sleeping with people, to his point, to fill a void, anything to me that's done out of a place of lack and trauma, yeah, I think it's an issue. But to me, this whole body count thing is, there's some context to it, right? Because you often will hear people from the Black community talk about, like, yo, white girls go to college and slut out.
Mm-hmm.
They still end up getting married, but they're okay with going through that maturation process because that's just part of their process.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're supposed to do in college.
Mm-hmm.
But they still end up getting married, having families, where it's different or seems to be different in the Black community, where you got, women who might go to their respective university and, dot it out for a little bit, and it's harder for them to rebound from that.
So your name is known at Fisk U in Hampton. Howard U. Wilberforce. You can't even walk on Wilberforce's campus. Tuskegee. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Try again.
Yeah. We know about Soft Lips Linda. We know all about her.
Big Booty Cheryl.
Big Booty Judy and all of them. But that's the thing, right? I feel like so basically what I'm saying is, if it's just a natural part of your process, I don't think the same outcome is looming. But I think a lot of times what he's talking about with guys who do it for self-worth, from this place of like, the more numbers I got, the more status I'll have, the better I'll be out here, the more people will like me. That's always going to be an issue. But people get married for the same thing, to fill a void. People get in relationships for the same reasons, to fill a void. So that's why I'm saying I think anything that you do from that space is going to have a negative outcome.
I agree with you.
But to zoom in on this issue specifically, to make it about this specifically, personally, I mean, my body count. I've talked about it ad nauseum. I've been transparent about it. For me, it wasn't necessarily about collecting numbers so that people will like me, so that I will have a certain status in the community. I like variety. I like sex. It ended up kind of just happening that way. But it wasn't something I sought out to fill a void.
But those things that we talked about, you were known in these streets among your boys and among women, right? Women desired you because, right, I'm in your friendship circle now for almost close to 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some of the women who wanted to be with you. And then also I've seen, knowing your boys and people that knew you before me, you were known. There was a good reputation. Now, I'm not saying it was good in the sense of good or bad, but it was a reputation where you were viewed as this sniper. You were viewed as this dude who could get the bad broad. And I'm saying, now, I'm not saying that's why you did it. I'm just saying that is why some guys will do it, because I see how Jay moves and I want what Jay has. Now, I also know your personal story. Like you said, there were times you weren't as successful as you are now, materially or financially speaking, but you were definitely winning in those two markets. You had props from your boys and you had women, or access to women, and women were entertaining your presence positively. And that is just what I think some men aim for. And because it's going to bring that psychic income, it's going to bring that attention, it's going to bring, Thor's hammer into the mix. And what do I mean by Thor's hammer is just the simple fact that anytime you're joking with your boys or you're getting on each other, at the end of the day, it's going to be like, yeah, but I get pussy. I get chicks. It's an equalizer. It is.
It
I
can
think
be.
to say that it isn't is I think a bit outrageous. I'm not saying that's what you're about to say.
Yes.
But it is for most dudes. It's an equalizer. Getting pussy, getting women, and sleeping with women is an equalizer for most men. It allows people in their circle to at least believe they are successful, even though they are not successful. Meaning defining success as they've set their goals, they're pursuing their dreams, and they're dealing with the ups and downs of that process. That's how I'm defining success. They're not engaging with that because they're just engaging with women and sleeping with women.
Right. In addition to achieving goals and all of that, how you treat people is also a part of your success. And I think there's no real reputation positive that you can have if all you're known for is sleeping with a bunch of people. And so this is the reason why I say to you, yeah, on the surface, it might seem like dudes are praising you, and that might be a good reputation because, yeah, at first glance, you might be like, oh, he's bedding down all of these chicks. Oh, that's the man. But when you really peel back the curtain, it's like, oh, but, you know, you found out other things about them that they're lacking in that definition of success. So this is what I'm saying. I understand how that could be an outcome, but to me, the motivating factor is really, or what all of this hangs on to me is what space are you doing it from? If it's for the express purposes of being liked or to fill a void, it's always going to be negative. And those tentacles, everything it touches is negative. The women you're sleeping with, the boys that you tell about it, yourself, like anybody who is touching, it's always negative. If it's from a place of, I need this void filled, so this is why I'm taking this action. And that's why I'm saying, to me, it's not about you, the sleeping with somebody part, it's the why you're doing it. To me, that's what was the biggest takeaway from what he was talking about. Guys who do it for this express purpose. And I think, because like I said, I know people who have got married for that, had kids because of that. Just because they feel like there's a void in their life that they need filled. So I'm going to have this partner come and complete me. They want that, Jerry Maguire type love and all of that, or they think a kid is going to do that for them. But I feel like anyone who does that or takes an action from a place of lack, from a place of this, I need this to fulfill a void, they're setting themselves up for failure. I mean, this may sound really cliche, but really only God can fulfill voids. I believe that. I stand on that wholeheartedly. There's no action anyone can take to fill a void that was never meant to be filled by that action, thing, person, whatever. I truly, wholeheartedly, 1,000,000% believe that whatever lack or void anyone has, only God can fill it.
I agree. But keeping it a buck, 100.
So we go double
summer. Yeah, we're going to double back. I heard all that. Yeah. Beautiful. You know what I'm saying? It was Dr. King, 1963. You're here.
I've been to the mountain.
Yes, I've been to the mountain.
I may not get there with you.
Exactly. But Lord knows that when the body count starts rising, because what he's really emphasizing to me is a conversation that we're not having in the larger male community about body count. When you hear the conversation about body count, you hear it like this. A good part of this community says this, or communities. Women's body count matters because all of the litany of reasons. Women's sperm goes into the brain of every man they slept with, or, women's body count matters because at the end of the day, they get emotionally attached, oxytocin and chemical reactions in the brain, in the vagina. And then it matters because women are natural nurturers. Then when you talk about men's body count, well, that doesn't matter because a man can just sleep with a woman, get a release, and go back to the woman that he loves. All points of view. The point he's bringing up about body count, I believe, really is an issue for men in the larger male community, and it's not being discussed, which is you're only pursuing this course of action because you're looking for these accolades. And the moment you're not able to meet these achievements, now you have a problem. When the woman says, no, not tonight, or you don't meet a woman at the bar, you go home sad, alone, and frustrated. When you hit a dry spell and you ain't hitting the way you thought you should be hitting, and your boys are getting on you and they clowning you, yo, what happened, son? Yo, 6 months ago, you was the Prince of Persia. Now, it's like, gee, man, Eddie Murphy said, your name is Stanley. Now it's a problem. And I believe this whole conversation about body count for men connected to low self-esteem needs to be surfaced more if you want to have real conversations about men being healed and men moving forward as a positive contribution with positive contributions to themselves, their family, their friends, and their large communities.
I agree. That's why I said I don't disagree with anything he said. To me, the conversation is just larger than what context does body count matter or not. To me, it's a larger conversation. But that's why I said if we just want to zero in on that, then yeah, I would agree and say the same thing. Like,
It's just for me, it's because I don't hear this conversation that much. I don't hear that conversation that much about men saying, yo, you should keep your body count low. Now, where I have heard it before is I hear body count when it's often referenced about Christianity or religious life.
right, yeah.
Is, Judaism, Islam, some of the Abrahamic religions, or that's the main three, and then some of the non-Abrahamic religions, this idea of chastity, this idea of self-control and discipline leading up to a fruitful, thriving life. The Kama Sutra was a book that helped people who were in, prearranged marriages to develop comfort with each other through the connection of sex. And the Kama Sutra talks about marriage. So, you do get that there, but body count, really, we don't hear enough about men and saying, yo, maybe your body count's too high. Maybe you're bringing in too much of these soul ties, quote unquote, even though I don't believe in soul ties. Maybe you're the one who's being exposed and exposing their body to certain pernicious elements and it needs to be checked. Maybe you're the one who's spreading disease because you done had unprotected sex with multiple women.
That you didn't tell about.
Yeah, different times and places. Now, you're a major spreader. Or maybe you're the
Super
one.
spreader.
Yeah, a super spreader. Maybe you're the one who's getting emotionally attacked. And the fact that, you're sleeping with this woman, you're sleeping with that woman, and you feel awkward that you can't seal the deal, maybe because your finances aren't where they need to be, maybe because psychologically you're not where you need to be. You're the one who's having these challenges. And it's not brought up. It's not brought up enough.
I mean, I've heard it growing up. I've heard it throughout life, this conversation. So, I mean, to me, I think that there is a discussion about male body count. It's not as accepted as all of us think sometimes. Women obviously have their own opinions about it. Like, yo, like you said, I don't want to be with a dude that's been with however many people and spreading the seed around and giving all of the energy to all of these different people. Like, the reputation of somebody who might be a playboy or a ladies' man might have some appeal to it, but think about who the appeal is coming from or who it appeals to. That's the reason why I'm like, I don't even know if it's the type of conversation that needs to stop there, because so what it seems acceptable to most people, to most guys. The majority, at least in regards to this conversation, are not the people who should be leading it. Because to your point, a lot of them are saying it's acceptable. And the conversation we're saying needs to be had is one that's like, yo, maybe exercise discipline in this scenario. But again, I don't think, to me, that's not what I thought he was talking about. I thought he was specifically talking about it from a place of, if it's coming from a place where this is what's driving my self-esteem, or this is what I'm propping it up on.
Yeah. That's what he was saying. I'm just taking this step further and saying that this conversation,
even if it's not for self-esteem, it still needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you.
In the same vein and intensity that we talk about women's body counts, because there's something to be said there.
But that who talks about women's body counts? Because honestly, bro, I hear more women say about women that body count matters than men.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Just in terms of reputation.
Yeah, this is not an anti-man message saying, men, you talk about women's body counts. Well, no, I hear all parties women and men talk about women's body counts. And again, like I said, it comes from an array of perspectives, a diversity of perspectives.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that this particular perspective, we're going to talk about men's body counts, needs to be surfaced and discussed more, because so much of what I believe men do is driven by low self-esteem. Some of the behavior that we see men display, violence, anger, depression, suicide, taking their own lives, there's a lot of low self-esteem in it, and we don't discuss it enough. And then body count is just a way to mask the low self-esteem that you're feeling. And you're not addressing the underlying causes of that low self-esteem. I mean, we keep talking about it on this podcast. You see Scott Galloway. We keep talking about the crisis of men here in the United States. Men are twice, X amount more likely to be incarcerated, X amount more likely to commit suicide, X amount more likely to be in poverty. There is a problem here.
Yeah.
And like Scott Galloway says it best, who benefits more is more interested in seeing socially and economically viable men? Women, especially heterosexual women. And they want socially and economically viable men. There isn't a lot out there right now. And so, as I explained to you and to those who are listening right now, I don't look at dating as some kind of cosmic romantic event. I take a very cold, hard, dispassionate business approach to dating. I look at dating as a market. And if you look at it as a market, you start breaking the market down into market segments. Segments that maybe appeal to you, segments that don't appeal to you, segments that fit for your product, and segments that don't, right? So we hear this concept of product market fit in the tech startup world. Same thing in the dating world when you look at it as a market, product market fit. And why does that matter to me? It matters to me because we need to have really good discussions about what's happening in good frameworks to describe what's happening between men and women in this current era we're living in. Because when you look at it as a market, then you start to move and think about it differently. And I hope it empowers people to start to say, well, that's fine that the X amount of men or women aren't for me, or that they wouldn't date me because I'm not tall enough, I'm not strong enough, I don't make enough money, I don't know how to chew bubble gum and ride a skateboard at the same time. It's okay. I need to find a woman or a man or a person in this market that works for who I am and what I'm bringing to the table. And that's the end of it. And so I think that's what we have to discuss, especially when you deal with, like you do in any of the market, scarcity. Not enough men against socially, economically viable men. And there's a lot of men who are taking advantage of that in this market.
Yeah.
To increase their body count. Because I have low self-esteem, and because I have a great job making six figures, and I can string some $9 college words together, and I have a decent body, and I know what a salad fork is versus a main course
an entree fork.
Yeah, entree fork. Yeah,
I got a little bit of culture in me.
I
got a Cosby sweater here and there I could throw on.
Yeah, exactly. Opera is not just a browser; it's an event you go to at the Met. Right?
Yeah.
That guy right now can meet a lot of women from all walks of life. He's not going to sleep with all of them, and he's not going to definitely have them as viable partners, but he's at least going to get the attention. And once he has that attention, he's getting that income, those banks filled, those internal banks filled with that income. And that's a lot in this day and age.
Yeah. I mean, if all of that is what's driving and you prop your self-esteem on all of that, it's a cycle that you're going to perpetuate negativity to a lot of these people and situations that you touch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know, bro. I think there are things that I have done to fulfill the void of self-esteem, and I see how that could be. I think one of the things I told you about before was I learned about what prostituting a gift really was. back in the day, if I knew I didn't really think I had game enough to talk to a chick, oh yeah, I would throw some notes up in there. Ooh, you know what I'm saying? Like I might do that, but that was like you're talking about. That was your shield,
Yeah.
for her not to be able to see my insecurity in my conversation game,
Or to seal the deal.
or to seal the deal. But like you're saying, to seal the deal was, well, not what you're saying, but like I recognize that I could weaponize that, and I did use that in the past as like something I would prop up my self-esteem on. The fact that I had this voice, and at any given time I could turn it on and use it that way. But I think what I learned from that was, if you had to do something mendacious, talk about that mendacity.
Mendacity.
If you
Cornell
if
West.
you had to throw a curveball, or if you had to do something underhanded or sleazy, or you couldn't rest on the laurels of like, yo, just go up and have a conversation. If you had to do anything but what's necessary to seal the deal, that's not really something you can build self-esteem on.
No.
And so I think that's what he's saying. Like, he would go home at the end of the night and realize, like, yo, I'm super empty, because what I'm really after is true, authentic self-esteem. There's no substitute, nothing I can do to fill that void. Like, that's why I'm saying I go back to that, because it's like everything is propped up on the authenticity and the genuineness of what you're after. Some people are chasing happiness. They think money's going to do it. You got to find and define what happiness is to learn how to go and get it. If you're using the money to get happiness, all you're going to get is a whole bunch of money, but you'll never be happy.
Mhm.
If you're getting sleeping with all of these women for self-esteem, you realize sleeping with women don't give you self-esteem. You have to define what that is and learn how to create that in your own life. But a lot of us are doing these things, especially sleeping with a bunch of women, like you said, or like he's talking about, for that. That's how they're filling that void of self-esteem, or wanting
Oh
to
yeah.
feel loved and happy and all of these different things. They're basically putting yellow brick roads in front of themselves, saying it's going to get me to Oz, but it's like there's actually a different way, a path to Oz that you haven't even explored yet, and there's no other way to get there but this. You keep trying to go this way, do this, and all of these other things. Like, you gotta, I don't know if it's go internally, seek the Lord's help, whatever, counsel, talking to your people, but whatever it is, it has to be something that is acquired authentically,
Mhm.
and from a genuine place.
Yeah.
If it's to fill that void, you're never gonna fill it the way you think you will.
For sure. For sure. As we approach the end of our time here, I just want to double down and emphasize how important for us, for this podcast, really having honest conversations are. And I want to go back to what I said in the beginning. I was that guy. That's important right now for me to say, because A, we've talked about being genuine or authentic on this podcast. B, I want to be able to give hope to a man or to a woman, even if you're not part of my sexual orientation, you may just find inspiration anyway, is that I had to get to a point where I had to identify that wasn't for me, even though everyone else was doing it. See, that's the issue. You'll realize everyone else is doing something that you're not doing, and you don't know how to distance yourself and still be successful. Sometimes you have to not be so concerned about being successful. You have to focus on just distancing yourself. And when you distance yourself, you eventually receive, according to our spiritual traditions, insight from the Lord as far as how to then be successful in doing it. So I just wanted to name that, because that definitely was me. I was that dude. I was not a dude who was sleeping with a lot of women. I was not meeting a lot of women. I was awkward. I was not sealing a lot of the deals. Definitely could have used some pickup artist classes. I would have been one of those dudes in Neil Strauss's book, The Game, sitting at the feet of the masters, learning how to game these women so I can go home and sleep with them, because nothing came natural to me when it came to speaking with women. I was not overly charismatic in that capacity or charming in that capacity. And people could tell. You could smell it a mile away. So I just wanted to own that just in case anyone ever has or is realizing in their own journey they want to separate from what everyone else is doing, and you're trying to do it and be successful. Sometimes you just have to do it first before you concern yourself with the plans of what it means to be successful once you separate. Anyway, thanks for everyone for listening. Check us out at www.lovegodlovesexpodcast.net. Come join our email list, our online community. Tons of free goodies out there, free ebooks that we're giving away on relationships, dating, and flirting. How to really meet somebody online and the ways and steps in which you should take to properly meet somebody and to do it in a way that's humane and empowering, but fun and sexy. So check us out, www.lovegodlovesexpodcast.net. Until next time, this is Heath.
I'm Jamie, y'all. Be good.
All right, take care.
Peace.